Hello, my name's Pat Tuff from Birmingham Trades Council. We've been providing information around the local trade unionists by producing a regular bulletin. We've also been organising tours, meetings, and tried to provide videos, lists of contacts to local trade unionists who want to do something on South Africa but don't quite know where to begin or where to start. And also to organise tours of black trade unionists. One was Charles Maccabela, who was able to go around the various trade unions and various black organisations.
What we got was one of the British multinational company called BTR. It's a British tire and rubber, which got a subsidy in South Africa and many more around the country. I got a list of all the companies. There are more than 50 of them around the country here. This company was one of the companies we organized when our union was formed in 1973-74. And since then, the union have refused to recognize our union until last year, May, when the workers decided to go on strike to force this company to accept the union basic right. And what happened? Management sacked all 1,000 workers. And according to a South African law, there's nothing we can do. We tried to picket. In that demonstration, management responded by calling the soldiers, as you have seen them there with their dogs, guns, and 6 workers were killed in that picket line. What is happening in South Africa today, we are burying between 10 and 50 people every week in South Africa, killed on the same way. If we are having a funeral of 5, 6, 10 people in the township, after the funeral, the police and the soldiers will start shooting tear gas, shotguns to the crowds. And just imagine a crowd of 50, 40,000. If they start running in different directions, what happens is start shooting, and at the end or the following day, you found that 20, 30 people were killed, and 100 of them are injured. We have gone a long way through, and what we said now is that we will continue, whatever happens. So the problem which we got is that we can't really do it on our own. We have to ask support anywhere in the world. Any sort of support which anybody might think about. Although there have been people coming to you here, in fact, there were agents sent by state coming to tell people that South African workers are against any boycotting of South African products because they'll lose jobs. We are losing jobs because we are used like machines. We got thousands of our brothers sitting in the homelands for 5, 6 years without job. They easily dismiss 1,000 workers in a minute and take buses and recruit 1,000 workers, put them in the machines. And they dismiss them in any minute they feel like doing so. We are so cheap. Their machines are even more expensive because they service them.
The most exemplary support that is going on at the moment is the action taken by the Dunn shop workers of Dublin. These workers have been out on strike since July 1984 for refusing to handle South African goods. Catherine O'Reilly visited Birmingham recently.
Easter 1984, at our union's annual delegate conference, a motion was passed for the boycott of South African goods and services. Our union was left with a policy, and it was left to decide whether it was going to issue it to the rank and file workers or leave it on the shelf to collect dust. The union decided to issue it to the members. We received the instruction and we decided among ourselves to boycott South African goods. We informed our management in the store where we work in Dunn stores. They accepted it for 2 days. On the second day, they called us into the office and asked us why were we boycotting South African goods, what had South Africa ever done for us, and were we prepared to put our jobs on the line for people thousands of miles away. We said we were going to continue with the boycott. We were placed on checkouts. On the second day, a customer approached Mary Manning's register with 2 outbound grapefruit. Mary politely informed the customer she couldn't take for the grapefruit because of the union instruction and because we were boycotting South African goods. The customer was prepared to accept this. The manager called her into the office and gave her 5 minutes to reconsider. When she said she was going to continue with the boycott, they said they'd no other option but to suspend her until she changed her mind. So Mary clocked out and 10 people clocked out with her. Bishop Desmond Tutu and the South African Council of Churches invited us to South Africa in July 1985 for the first anniversary of the strike. When we went on this visit, we hoped to meet black trade unionists, Winnie Mandela, and to see the homelands. Unfortunately, when we got to Johannesburg Airport, we were asked if we were the group travelling from Dublin. When we said yes, we were brought up 6 flights of stairs, and we were held at one stage by 32 armed guards. We didn't need to go further than the airport to see apartheid in action. For 2 years we did picket duty, and we appealed to our government and we asked them to introduce sanctions. Our government have agreed to introduce limited sanctions, agricultural sanctions, where no South African fresh fruit or vegetables, dried fruit or tinned fruit will be allowed into Ireland after the 1st of January 1987.
Not everyone is able to take strike action. Up and down the country, workers have been trying to ensure that their workplaces don't stock South African goods. In Leicester, all NUPE workers had to do was to ask their health authority not to serve South African produce, and they agreed. Peggy Gilbert, a local hospital worker, was on a recent demonstration to commemorate Soweto.
As a union nationally, we totally oppose the repression that is being exercised by the Buntu government in South Africa. In my branch, we have written to every member of our authority in the health authority, and we have made detailed investigations to ensure that there is no South African food being served either to staff or to patients in hospitals. In Portsmouth, we have a band of workers there that are opposing handling of any South African food. That's drivers, catering staff, and people who cook the food. They're refusing to handle it. And in local government here in Birmingham, the school meals workers are making sure that Birmingham City Council don't have any South African food. Within the National Health Service and within local government, this government here in Britain have got this great campaign about privatisation. Crothal's and Pritchard's, who are tendering for ancillary services in hospitals and services in local governments, have got great holdings in South Africa in security forces, and any local government should be resisting any dealings with Crothal's and with Pritchard's. Trade unionists should be endeavouring not to buy any South African goods, not to deal with any banks that have any dealings in South Africa. Trade unions as a whole should be withdrawing any support from any banks that have got dealings in South Africa. As individuals and trade unionists, we shouldn't be buying any South African goods. Anything to do with South Africa, we should be opposing in any shape, form or fashion.
The Trade Union Resource Centre has just published a report written by Paul Snell about West Midlands' links with South Africa. Does the firm you work for have links with South Africa?
Now, much has been said by industrialists in this country and by the government about the progressive change and the way that British investment in South Africa is conducive to the ending of apartheid in a peaceful manner. And what I was looking at really was the extent to which the British firms in South Africa were actually exploiting the conditions put there by the system of apartheid. I was looking at the sort of wages they pay their workers there, and I found several of the firms that operate in the West Midlands are paying their workers starvation wages. Now, firms like GKN, TI Group, BTR, Lonrho, Cape Industries, the McKechnie Brothers and Tarmac, all of these firms are paying their workers very below levels set by this government, and which are very low anyway. Here we have Lonrho operating in the mining sector in South Africa, paying people working in asbestos mines a basic wage of 15 pence an hour. Imagine working in an asbestos mine where all the conditions which are with the dust of the asbestos dust in the atmosphere, and you're getting paid 15 pence an hour. That's that's murder. I mean, there's no other word for it. Those people are dying working asbestos mines. The mines in South Africa, the asbestos mines in South Africa, are so bad that the mining union has actually called for the closing down of the entire industry. Trade unionists in this country have direct responsibility for the conditions of labour in South Africa because they are working for the same firms. What we want to see are more trade unionists taking action in support of their sisters and brothers in South Africa, such as some trade unionists in this country and in Ireland have already done. We can put pressure upon the individual firms which have been discussed in the report and put pressure upon those firms to change the way they operate in South Africa, to make sure that they recognise trade unions in South Africa and that they negotiate for a decent wage level in South Africa. And if industrial action is taking place in South Africa, we can take workshop collections to support them. There are strike funds which have been set up in this country, and any money that goes into those strike funds will find the way to the workers on strike in South Africa. And that, as trade unionists, we have to do.
The struggles of the black workers in South Africa are exactly the same as the struggles of the working class in this country against any government that tries to implement repressive laws, whether they be ones of poverty wages, whether they be ones of pass laws, whether they be anti-trade union laws. Our struggles are united.
In fact, what we are saying as workers, we have called for help all over the world, an assistance, a support, or whatever kind of support we get from anybody in the world. We welcome that.